Today, we sit down with a woman whose name ignites passion, controversy, and unwavering conviction, Daniella Weiss. Known as the Godmother of the communities in Judea and Samaria, Weiss has spent decades reshaping the landscape of Israel. A former mayor, founder of Nachalah, and a figure both lionized and vilified, she's recently been sanctioned by the UK and Canada. But who is she beyond the labels? What drives her lifelong mission? In this episode of Judeacation, we'll get to meet one of the most formidable figures in Israel's history. Daniella Weiss, welcome to Judeacation here at JNS TV.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks so much for coming in. You are the former mayor of Kadumim, prominent community in the Shomron. You're also a longtime activist for Judea and Samaria, and the founder of the Nachalah movement in Judea and Samaria, aimed at enhancing communities and supporting Zionist education. But before we get to Nachalah, you are known as the Godmother of Judea and Samaria. What do you think about that term, and tell us what that means?
I know it's a compliment, so I live well with the compliments. Actually, before I think in terms of a title, I can here say to you and to spectators, viewers, that I dedicate my life to the land of Israel. One of the things that I like to tell is that one of my great-grandchildren, his name is Natan, he lives in Neria, the western hills of Binyamin. He says in school, to the teacher and to the Talmidim, he says, my mother is Eretz Israel. Savta sheli Eretz Israel. So when I reach this, the moment when a sentence like that is said by a great-grandchild, Nina, so I don't want other titles. This is the title that I like. I believe it's because he senses that they often come to us for Shabbat, and they sit at Shabbat table, and I always speak about Eretz Israel.
The land of Israel.
And the land of Israel, and to speak about it, not just speaking about it. Yesterday we went on this hill, the other day we went on the other hill, and always the updating, the breaking news at the Shabbat table are always about a new town, a new outpost, and something new in Eretz Israel.
And that really is what Nachalah is all about, correct?
Now, Nachalah was founded by Rav Sheli, my rabbi, Rav Levinger, and I helped him after he passed away 10 years ago, sadly. But so I continued the work. He relied on me that I will do the work properly, and so I try, and I see that there are good results. I do it with his grandson, Tzvi Elimelech Sharbaf, so we share, like he's Tzvi Elimelech, the grandson of Rav Levinger, is the younger leader, and I am the younger one. So like this, we share positions. But the purpose is, you mentioned Judah and Shomron. Judah, Shomron, and Gaza. And Gaza is our making Gaza Jewish is our main goal now.
And I want to talk about that now. It's 20 years exactly coming up since the expulsion of all Jewish life in Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know your thoughts now, 20 years later, and we'll talk about the war going on right now as well. But first, your thoughts as we approach this very, very tragic and sad and terrible milestone, 20 years.
Yes. Actually, there are two main attitudes toward these 20 years. It's a generation, because my children, I assume your children, they get married young. So the age of 20, there's a new generation coming. So a new generation went by since this catastrophe, since this, I call it crime against the Jewish nation, against the land of Israel, the state of Israel. And I said there are two attitudes. One saying, oh, I miss my home, I miss the golden sand of Gaza, the sea, the ocean, the breeze. and there is another one. And I say another one, of course, they can go together, but the emphasis as far as the Halag movement is concerned is it's not just I miss it, I'm going to be there. As a movement, we created 6 different groups, Garinim. More than 1,000 families are enrolled, and we just publicized the petition of these 1,000 families. There are thousands of people with many children addressing the Prime Minister Netanyahu. Netanyahu, we want to settle Gaza now. And we know it is possible, at least to begin in the northern part, close to Ashkelon and Sderot. And actually, the people of Ashkelon, the inhabitants of Ashkelon and Sderot, they would want us to be where there was Beit Lahia, Beit Hanun, Jebalia, where the army, thank God, smashed it all and prepared the ground for us, for Jews to return. Gaza is not Gaza, as people say. Gaza is the southern gate of Eretz Israel. No wonder so many armies fought over Gaza. It's a key place. It's the entrance to Eretz Israel. People now attach it to terrorists, to people who want to kill. There were times, I don't know if many people know it, but I'm now very much involved in everything that is connected with Gaza. There were times when Jews, when they came as olim, pilgrims, but with Jews we say olim, to Eretz Israel, and Jerusalem was in a very low situation in the sense of poverty and negligence when Jews weren't there. So Gaza, being a port city close to the Mediterranean, was a place where Jews came to the Holy Land, and they considered it a holy place. And now with the presence of so much terrorists and so much talk and propaganda about killing Jews and, God forbid, annihilating the state of Israel, so people somehow associate Gaza with something negative. Not Gaza is positive, and we want to make, we as a movement and many, many people, and I have a lot of support. I want to tell you, I do not stay all my days on the mountains of Samaria. I go to Tel Aviv, I go to Haifa, to Jerusalem. People stop me on the way and say, when will you come? When will you enable us to buy a home in Gaza? People got already the idea Gaza is going to be Jewish soon. And when Netanyahu said, I felt he directed his words to me. He said on Channel 14 in Patrioting, the famous program, he said, settling Gaza with Jews, it's lo reali. It's not realistic. That was like him, Netanyahu, looking me in the eyes and saying, Daniela, you know how to make what is not reali, to make it reali.
You took it as a personal challenge.
I took Netanyahu's "זה לא ריאלי" as if he's saying, you know that when I say to you not reali, it means that you have to act. And then, 1 second, if your microphone allows me, and the microphone will allow me.
Please.
Please. I take this map, I show it to Netanyahu, and I show it to whoever wants to look at it.
Please explain. Everything is in Hebrew, but I see a lot of pink,
The pink
spots, dots.
These are some of the 330 towns, cities, outposts, farms in Judea and Samaria. And when I came here, Rav Levinger was in Hebron, Hanan Porat was Josh, Gush Etzion. Yeah? And all this, all Shomron was empty. No Jew lived in it. And there I came with my husband and 2 little daughters, and we made a world revolution. We made the Middle East different. And so we will return to Gaza. And this is when Netanyahu says, lo reali? but there are people who know how to make the not realistic, realistic. And we will make Gaza Jewish.
I want to talk about that. You said you visit Tel Aviv and people talk to you and
Yes.
ask when we're going back to Gaza. But in addition to Tel Aviv and the other cities, you actually spent a lot of time in the southwestern Negev visiting along the Gaza border.
Right.
And at the same time, I want you to clarify for the viewers, there were reports that over the last 2 years, you've actually been into Gaza itself. So I want you to clarify it. We've seen it in all the media outlets. Clarify what they're talking about. Set the record straight, please.
About visiting Gaza. To those who don't know details, I use this map because I like the colors of this. I chose the colors with friends from Nahala. Actually, Lital, a colleague from the Secretariat of Nahala, she was the mind behind this. I call it the Benetton colors, to make the sad pictures of destruction, to make it into a beautiful dream, which will become reality. But you would like to know, as many people want to know, was Daniela in Gaza, like Alice in the Wonderland? Daniela in Gaza. So it's not in the city of Gaza. And as I explained in a number of times, I travel a lot, and you mentioned it, in the south and along the 40 kilometers of the Gaza border. And when you travel a lot, every now and then, of the tens of gates that are open, you find a gate that is open. So you enter. I do not recommend it. It sounds very much like detective stories, but I entered more than once. I didn't go deep because there are people in Nahala movement on whom I can rely. And they say, Daniela, adventurous as you are, let's not go too deep because we want to continue. So I was in Gaza. I was across the border. The army didn't help me with this. When the army discovered that we were close there, they told us, don't continue.
Right.
Never helped me. And I did it, but more for my feeling that here I touch the land that is behind the border. But this is a kind of game. The real thing is to do what Rabbi Levinger instructed me for so many years, 30 years, we worked together. He said, see to it that you have public support. See to it that politicians are with you. Likud, and today Tzionut Datit, and Itamar of Otzma Yehudit, and
Ben-Gvir.
Itamar, I call Itamar
You call
because
him Itamar. You know him personally. Right.
Because I know, but I mean Ben-Gvir and Smotrich,
Okay.
good friends. Thank God they are in the cabinet. We'll see what will be tomorrow with all the negotiations with, God forbid, with Hamas. So what I try to do, according to Rav Levinger instruction, guidance, his political thinking. People do not often think about Rav Levinger, the founder of Hebron and the one of the leaders of the Judea and Samaria. They don't think of him so much in terms of political expert, but he was a political expert, and he guided me. And he said, when you proceed with a project to make it realistic, see to it that the public is with you. See to it the politicians are with you. And always, and this he didn't have to instruct me, that there are facts on the ground. Mm-hmm. And this is why I wanted to touch the sand behind the... I mean, this was very symbolic. But I mean that we have 6 Garinim, 6 nucleus groups that are ready, and I'm telling you, Josh, I know that I can say this. If I call one person in the Halav movement, from the Garanim, from the groups that are ready to go to Gaza now, if I call them now, today, till tomorrow morning, we'll have 6 new towns in Gaza. I don't have to influence. They don't have to get ready. they will move right away if I tell them it's possible. For this, I need Netanyahu to cooperate with me.
So that's what I want to ask you. In the midst of all this optimism, we are still in a war right now. We're on a war on 7 different fronts, including the front with Hamas in Gaza. How do you feel that we're doing? Are we winning the war? Is it a major victory? I mean, it's been almost 2 years now, aside from the situation with Iran, with Syria, with Lebanon, with all the other countries in the region, specifically with Gaza, in order to enact and make that dream a reality for you. How are we doing on that front and on the war front?
So I'll tell you what I'm sure about, and I will dare say what I'm not sure about. Usually, I speak what I'm sure about the fact that the Jewish nation in general understands that without being physically settlements, towns, cities in Gaza, the threat of war will not stop. It's not even Trump with this talk about the Riviera and he wants it maybe for America. He wants parts in the world everywhere. Trump will never have Gaza because Gaza belongs to the Jewish nation. It's part of the tribe of Yehuda. But as far as the Jewish nation is concerned, as far as the people in Israel are concerned, people understand that if we leave Gazans in Gaza, it's the fighters themselves, I call them, the Hamas themselves, the terrorists themselves. It's the masses that were educated to fight Jews, annihilate the state of Israel, God forbid. And people say they are also normal people. Normal people, let them go. Let them go to Indonesia, to African countries, or whatever. And then I spoke to people in the Tivasara, in the kibbutzim, in also religious and non-religious kibbutzim, in Sderot, in Netivot, in Ofakim. I was everywhere in the kibbutzim of all kinds. People say, I want to see the sea. I want the blue. I want the sand. Oh, boy, don't be childish. What do you mean you want it like this? It's a fantasy. It's a world. The world there is fire in the sense of a lot of energy there. Maybe we finished with the energy in Iran, I'm not sure. But there is a lot of energy in Gaza. You cannot leave it empty space. It will not be empty. There is a pasuk about when the brothers sold Joseph, and then they looked for the bowl, the pit where they threw him.
Right.
So they said it is empty. They said, no, it's not empty. There are snakes and scorpions, akabim. There's nothing in Eretz Israel, in the land of Israel, nothing is empty. If it's not Jewish, then it becomes desolate, and then there are wandering tribes, and then there are killers. It is being filled with negative elements. And we also learned, and people say to me, when you speak about politics and history, don't speak in Jewish terms or religious terms or biblical terms. I'm Jewish, and I speak in biblical terms, and I speak also about what our sages said. Ramban, one of the prominent sages of Judaism. Mitzvah Daled, the fourth mitzvah. Commandment, not of the 10 commandments,
Sure.
but in his list of Tariag mitzvot, is that the Jewish nation is not allowed to leave any part of Eretz Israel desolate or to enemies. So we cannot leave it desolate. This is why we cannot, of course, leave it to enemies. This is why you asked a short question and I gave a long answer. How I see the situation.
Yeah.
The time when there was an option for Arabs to stay, because so history turned things, that time is over. And most of the Jews in Israel understand it. Now, if it happens today, or today, God forbid, Netanyahu bends his head to Trump and makes the corridor for the IDF narrow to the extent that Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich cannot stay in the cabinet, it might happen today. Then you ask me, I see in your eyes that you are asking me, what will be then? Then I'll know that we as a movement and many of the Jewish nation prepared the land for settlement. If it happens tomorrow or a few more days will tell. But I'm so sure that we made, I cannot say all the necessary, many of the necessary steps in order to prepare the understanding, the consciousness that Gaza is Jewish. We made all the preparations, also the families that are going to move instantly. And if it takes a little more, God knows.
So I just want to go back. You mentioned potential emigration of Arabs in Gaza to other countries, whoever's willing to take them. But at the end of the day, just to be clear, I guess what I'm saying is you believe in part of the Trump plan. In other words, emigration, yes, but not turning Gaza over to the United States as another entity or a Riviera. That part, yes, but at the end of the day, Israel must control Gaza fully.
Israel must control Gaza fully. I think that, I know I should be polite also to the President of the United States, but to refer to Gaza, which is such an inherent part of Jewish history, as an American or international Riviera, is like to erase tradition. And my impression from Trump's general attitude that it is not in his line to erase tradition, not as far as the American nation is concerned. So it won't be as far as the Jewish nation is concerned. Gaza is part of our homeland. It was given by God to Abraham, Isaac, Isaac, and Jacob. It was given, not promised. It was given. And we should hold this treasure, this present, with both our hands and with all our hearts. Maybe out of, I would say, financial or business is the word, out of business enthusiasm, Trump's eyes do see that Trump's eyes do see that the Riviera of Gaza is more beautiful than the Riviera in France. It's one of the most beautiful Rivieras, coastlines in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I saw life, I saw world, and I compare. I don't say that there are no other nice places, but it is so serene. The color is so perfect. The angle, the exact, like it's a bow, but a very mild one. I see it. And I understand that Trump also saw it. But I have priority over Trump. It's mine. It belongs to my nation. So he might, what encouraged me in his desire to have it is that I know that it's nice and it's valuable economically. So we will hold strong to it.
I want to ask you a personal question, if I can. It was in the news, but I guess you would call it a personal question. You, from what I understand, you were personally sanctioned by the UK and Canada.
In the United States.
Yeah, and the United States as well. They
started.
Oh, they were the first.
As they say in school.
He
started.
Under the Biden administration or even before?
It was under Obama.
Under the Obama administration.
General Obama.
So what does that mean for you practically? What does it mean for you practically? And discuss, your feelings on that. And is it going to be rescinded by the Trump administration? But what has it done to your life?
Well, I hope it will change under Trump's administration. My husband says that if I imagine that Trump will call me late in the afternoon and tell me, Daniela, I saw you were sanctioned by my administration. I want to change. So my husband promised me that not to expect such a call from Trump. I should call him North Korea. I'm a third for the people who can help me, and I want to change it. And I hope I will succeed. I hope so. If it affects me, very much. If it causes damage, very much. If it causes damage to our movement, it causes me a lot of inconvenience.
Mhm.
My husband is very much in business. He's connected also with the United States. And the sad thing is not me. The sad thing is my husband, that his visa was taken
Right.
shortly after it was approved. Why is it so sad? At least I know that I was involved with, as I was involved with establishing many new communities. I had conflicts with the law, but my husband never had any conflict with the law, which means it's ideological. This is very dangerous. To prevent from my husband to enter the United States because his wife believes, and this is what brought on me this problem. No such thing as two-state solution. You listen to me, President Obama, President Biden, President Trump. No such solution, not with the Saudi and the Abraham expansion of contracts. No. No state, no two-state solution. When I said it in 60 Minutes, the famous program in the United States, after that, troubles began. Because the official policy is to stay. No such thing. So to prevent from my husband to enter the United States because his wife declared that she is making special efforts to prevent the distorted idea of a two-state solution in the country that was given to the Jewish nation, for this to prevent from us to enter the United States, this is, people like to speak about danger to the democracy. This is stabbing democracy. This means not allowing the Jewish nation to speak about its religion. This is, you ask me if it affects me. You see in the interview how much I take it to my heart. I take it very seriously because I want to believe that not only Israel is democracy, I want to believe that the United States is also a real democracy. In a real democracy, a Jew can say that the land of Israel belongs just to the Jewish nation.
Yeah, we've talked about it here, especially under the Biden administration. We talked about anybody who was open to sanctions, those who opposed the Biden policy, regardless of what the facts were, regardless of what the law actually states. So we saw it, and now, as you told us just now, it goes back to Obama. We could talk for a long time, but unfortunately, we're running out of time. But that being said, I want to talk about, just finish off with Nachalah. As we started off the show, we were approaching 20 years since the expulsion from Gush Katif, and it happened the day after Tisha B'Av, the saddest day of the year on the Jewish calendar. It was pushed off by one day, but in effect, it happened on Tisha B'Av. So as we head towards this year's fast day, Tisha B'Av, Nachalah is planning a major march in the area of, correct me, northern Gaza.
Yes.
Just give us the details if people want to get involved or participate in the march. What's the goal? What message are you trying to send, and how can people get involved?
Yes, indeed, you touched a very painful spot. And we mentioned before that there are two different attitudes towards the decades that passed. It's not a decade, this generation of 20 years, 2 decades that passed since the terrible destruction of Gush Katif and the evacuation of Gaza. And I said that we prefer to promote physical and political actions towards making Gaza Jewish again, making the United States great again, making Gaza Jewish. And one of the means that one of the devices, one of the ideas is to promote a march from the side of, from the area, the northern part of Gaza, Zikim, Netiva Sarah. And the idea of such a march came into my mind. If you ask me if we are going to cut the fence No. If we decide to do it, I will let you know
Okay.
on time. But to
That'll
come,
surely make news.
but to come as close as possible, even if we don't get permission for that. But so far, we do want to try to get. And when did this idea came to me? When I came to Netiv Asara, so close to the border, to the existing border, and then there was a family with me from the Netiv Asara and from Nisanit. You know what's the distance where you live? You have when you need want some milk for coffee in the morning. If you like milk in the coffee, then you go to a neighbor. So from the Netiv Asara to Nisanit, that was the neighborhood link, the distance. So we want to obliterate this. No more distance. To take the wall down and to make the neighbors meet again. And now Nisanit and Elei Sinai and Dugit is waiting for us. So I want to bring thousands of people to the place where I had this sensation, where I felt, what's this silly thing to make artificial separation? By the way, I read that this line was decided upon by two officials, not very high ones, from the Ottoman Empire and from the British Empire, who decided for the interest of both empires, none of them is an empire anymore, for the interest of both of them and the reaching to the sea, it's good to draw the line there. It is not holy. The promise of God is holy. This line decided by two officials is not holy. So I want to obliterate it. If we do it physically, so far there isn't temptation to do it. But so far we want to bring the masses to impose pressure on the government. So and the week before that we'll have a meeting in the Knesset. It will be the title of the meeting, Shdulat Eretz Israel, for the idea of Gaza Riviera.
That's the land of Israel caucus. Knesset.
And speaking about the Riviera. So we adopted from Trump the word Riviera. By the way, it was my idea before his, but I'm not as famous to make it famous the world over. He made it famous, just as Trump made the idea of immigration legitimate in the eyes of many. So the plan is to march and to continue with the work of the Garenim, of the groups and the families that are ready to move to Gaza now. I know that when I came to Shomron and I tried to do copy-paste from my 50-year experience in Judea and Samaria, and now also in Galilee, we have a nice new place, Ramat Arbel. We take from this experience, we do copy-paste, which means people asked me, I remember when I was in Tel Aviv, still in my beautiful home there, and they came to my home and they saw that I was packing, literally, the big things, the preparations were realistic. I knew in later years that the physical readiness, preparation to physically move. I still remember when my husband said, "Are you sure you're doing it?" I'm sure. And this is why I'm preparing for it. Physically, technically, I know I can cope with it. And so did others. And the readiness and the preparations, the physical preparations, when they go with political pressures, and we had a big march in Sderot, and we had a beautiful meeting in Binyanei Hauma with 10 ministers. So all these preparations prepare us. And I pray today is a very critical day that Netanyahu will not withdraw from Gaza. And as a Navi, I think Elisha, the prophet Elisha said to the woman, take this tiny quantity of oil, shemen, put in the jars, and then there was a miracle, and they were filled with oil, good oil. So the big question is, did God or the prophet need this small quantity from the poor woman in order to make his huge miracle? No, we make the effort. We put a little oil. God gives the blessing. So we make the efforts, and I pray that God will bless us with a Jewish Gaza.
Daniella Weiss, founder of the Nachala movement, the Godmother of Judea and Samaria. Thank you so much for joining us on Judeacation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thanks to our production team behind the scenes, Esther Eden, Yuri Sretsky, Ryan Lifshitz, Zach Sickerman, and everyone else at JNS TV. Make sure you go to jns.org for all the latest breaking news in Israel, the Middle East, and the entire Jewish world. We'll see you next week.